Jungkook had always been a pillar of Satan, someone who thrived on control and order. But even pillars sometimes crack under immense pressure. It was a family crisis that began to chip away at his carefully built walls, a betrayal by a trusted cousin who had behind his back sabotaged the major business deal, causing a domino effect of financial trouble and personal humiliation. One first noticed his struggle one night when she found him alone in his study, sitting in the dark. His shoulders were slanted, his head in his hands a size she would never imagine witnessing from the otherwise composed Jungkook. She cleared her throat softly. Jungkook did no response immediately, and for a moment she considered leaving him alone. But something in her heart urged her to stay. Jungkook, are you okay? She asked, her voice laced with genuine concern. He looked up, startled to see her there. His face was weary, a darkness shadowing his usual sharp gaze. I did not hear you come in, he muttered, quickly straightening in his chair, trying to mask his vulnerability. Van hesitated, feeling an invisible barrier between them. Never dare cross, you look tired. If there is anything I can do? There is nothing anyone can do, he replied, his tone curt, but this time it did not have the same sting. It was almost as if he was trying to convince himself. Despite his dismissed tone, Vi found herself drawn to his side. She walked over, gently placing a hand on his shoulder. I know we don't talk much, but I am here if you need someone to listen. Jungkook's posture softened just a bit, though he still kept his guard up. It's complicated. Family matters. Betrayal is a hard pill to swallow. She nodded, understanding the weight of his words. Sometimes talking about it makes it a little easier to handle. For a moment, Jungkook seemed to consider her words. He glanced at her, his gaze filled with a mix of exhaustion and guarded hope. You would not understand. Try me, she challenged gently. With a sigh, he relented, sharing the outline of the betrayal his cousin desired, the financial mess it had caused, and the feeling of being blindsided by someone he would trusted his entire life. As he spoke, while listened intently, offering nods and small words of reassurance, she could see the pain act into his expression, the burden of his emotion, making him vulnerable and almost human. Dust is fragile, is not it? Wine murmured when he finished. Jungkook looked at her, a hint of surprise in his eyes. Yea, it is. Over the next few days, I found herself more attuned to Jungkook's struggle. She noticed his sleepless nights, the way he would often sit alone in the dining room with files spread out in front of him, nursing a cold cup of coffee. Despite their certain relationship, he could not ignore the growing urge to support him, even in small ways. One evening, as he sat brooding over his work, she approached him with a steaming cup of fresh coffee and sat it down in front of him. He looked up, his eyes started softening as he realized what she would do. You did not have to, he said, though his tone held a rare warmth. I know, I replied, offering a small smile, but I wanted to. He took the cup, his finger brushing against her briefly. For a second, they both froze, the unexpected contact sending a jolt through them. Jungkook quickly looked away, but Van could see a faint brush capping up his cheeks. That night they shared a quiet dinner, neither speaking much, but the silence felt more comfortable than before. As they finished their meal, Van noticed Jungkook glancing at her occasionally, his gaze softer, less guarded. Do you ever wonder if maybe we got off on the wrong foot? He asked suddenly, his voice barely above a whisper. Van blinked in surprise. I suppose we did, but maybe it was meant to be that way. Jungkook gave a smile, rueful smile, perhaps. They sat in silence again, and before long, Jungkook leaned back on the couch, exhausted from the day. Van hesitated before sitting beside him, not too close but not too far, allowing herself to simply be there, a quiet presence by his side. As they talked about lighter topics, the fatigue began to pull at both of them, and without realizing it, Van dusted off her head, leaning gently against his shoulder. Jungkook noticed feeling a strange warmth spread to him as he looked down at her peaceful expression. The following morning, Maya woke up to find herself on the couch, a blanket wrapped over her shoulder. She looked around, momentarily confused before realizing Jungkook had covered her before heading to his room. A slow smile touched her lips as she touched the edge of the blanket. It was a small gesture, but to her it felt monumental, a sign that perhaps she cared more than he let on. Downstairs, she found Jungkook already at the table reading the morning paper. As she took her seat, he glanced at her, his expression unreadable. "Did you sleep well?" he asked, a hint of amusement in his tone, while blush, realizing he was seeing her asleep on his shoulder. I did. Thank you for the blanket. He simply nodded, but she noticed a faint smile tugging at the corner of his lips. As the day passed, Sungu found himself gradually opening up to Wine. He shared small details about his family, his childhood, and even the occasional story that hinted at his softer side. Wine, in turn, found herself drawn to his hidden depth, the person he was beneath his cold exterior. One night, as they discussed a new business venture he was considering, Wine listened intently, offering thoughtful insights and advice. Jung was taken aback by her intelligence and dedication, realizing she has a mind sharp enough to hold her own in his world. "You know," he said, leaning back with a smile, "I underestimated you. You're actually quite capable." Van Gin, unable to resist a playful jab. "Why, thank you. I'm glad you're finally realizing it." They both laughed, the sound filling the room with a warmth neither had felt in a long time. Let's live one night. Jungkook faced a sudden business crisis, a major deal that had been sabotaged. When sensing her distress, stayed by his side, helping him sort through documents and the plans to salvage the situation. Despite the pressure, they worked together seamlessly, each drawing strength from the other. As night wore on, they finally managed to find a solution, a strategy that would not only save the deal but also give Jungkook an upper hand. Exhausted but triumphant, they sat back, a sense of accomplishment settling beneath between them. You were amazing," Jungkook admitted, his voice soft with gratitude. "I could not have done it without you." Van felt a swell of pride, but brushed it off with a gentle smile. "You would have managed. I just helped." Their eyes met, and in that moment, the distance between them fell. Without thinking, Jungkook reached for her, pulling her into a tight, unexpected hug. Van first caught off guard, but soon melted into the embrace, feeling the steady beat of his heart against hers. They stayed like that, wrapped in each other's warmth, the unspoken connection growing stronger with every passing second. But as reality spilled back in, they quickly pulled away, both flustered, their cheeks tinged with embarrassment. In the days that followed, the bond between them became untenable. Though they did not speak of the hug, both felt its lingering warmth. Their interactions grew softer, filled with quiet glances and sheer smiles that spoke volumes. One evening, as they were for bed, Jungkook hesitated at her door, glancing back with a soft, almost hesitant look. "Wine, thank you for everything." She looked at him, her heart skipping a beat. "Anytime, Jungkook." They shared a small, hopeful smile before parting ways, each retreating to their rooms or feeling a sense of closeness they would never feel. It was as if the ice that had kept them apart had finally begun to melt, leaving something raw and real in its place. As Vine lay in bed that night, she wondered if maybe, just maybe, their marriage was not as loveless as it had once seemed. And though she did not know what the future held, and she knew one thing, her heart was no longer untouched by the man she had once considered a stranger. To be continued.